Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. Today, we're going to be previewing the Premier League run-in for the top six teams, mainly positions 3 through 6 as it pertains to the Champions League. Today, I am joined by Patrick Heinrich. Patrick, how are you doing?
Good day, everybody. Doing well. Glad to be here.
Glad to hear it. And we're also joined by Jeremy Forbes via phone. How are you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. I just couldn't not get on this video today. I was having some technical difficulties. Sadly, camera's not working, but I still wanted to be here. I'm excited to talk about the Premier League. I'm excited to talk about Man United, and it's good to see you both.
Yeah, good to see. Good to hear you too, Jeremy. I think our audience is going to be upset they don't get the eye candy tonight. But, they'll just have to make do with your beautiful voice. So
Hey.
We appreciate you hopping on.
Yep, gonna see how good I can do the ratings with just the voice alone.
Whatever adds to the difference and makes it the show.
Cool beans.
Yeah, and who could miss the speculatory fun of predicting the end of the season?
Oh God.
Actually, I think it's going to be a fascinating ending. I was looking at all the games for the clubs in the contention leading up into the end, and initially I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward. I think I'm going to have some interesting predictions. So, but let me not get ahead of myself, even though I'm so excited.
No, if you Jeremy, if you want to speculate on the schedule, go for it.
So I was saying that out of all the games left to go, that even though, I thought initially it was going to be some easy runouts, I actually believe that Leicester City and Chelsea might end the season from here on out with the same amount of points, which I would say probably be about 11 points between all of their last couple of games. So if that's the case, it makes it very interesting because Man United would definitely still have to win all of their games. Or more or less all of our games because we do play Leicester. And if that's the case, the point differences will still be extremely close and could come down to goal differences. So that's good for us against Wolves, but bad for us against Leicester. So I just actually think it's going to be a little bit more exciting than we are envisioning, unless we see some massive curveballs.
Yeah, if teams end up level on points after these last 6 games, Leicester is definitely in a good position given their, a 9-0 win at Southampton back in the fall.
Yeah, gentle Jesus. Who knows what was going on there, but yes.
Yeah, after that game, I thought for sure Southampton were going down, but they got the ship righted, so good for them. But that's kind of the difference pretty much between Leicester and United. And then the difference between United and Chelsea is the combined aggregate of the United's 2 wins of basically 4-0 and 2-0. So the goal difference between us and Chelsea is seven goals, but and we beat them by a combined 6 goals this season. So you kind of see where that's made up. But yeah, United have the advantage on Chelsea and Wolves, but Leicester have the advantage on all 3. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And to add a little background, came out recently that City, their European potential European competition ban. Yeah, thank you. For the next 2 seasons, their appeal will be resolved on July the 13th. So we'll get a verdict then as to whether or not there will be no ban, if the 2-year ban still is in effect, or maybe it just gets reduced to 1. So that's going to be vitally important to these 4 teams battling it out for what could be the last 2 or potentially the last 3 Champions League spots for next season. So looking at that, and the fact that the schedule just plays out perfectly, where you have the last day of the season, United going to Leicester, and Chelsea hosting Wolves. So you have all 4 teams
pretty
playing
classic.
each other.
Yeah.
So,
to Jeremy's point, I was looking at the schedules that are remaining, the schedule that every team has remaining as well, and I could see all 4 teams being within a couple points of each other coming down to that last game of the season. So it'd be very, very interesting Patrick, do you think we watched Chelsea throw away 3 points, in my opinion, at the London Stadium against West Ham this week? Do you think that they'll be able to continue to outscore opponents as we come in?
Yeah, I think when I was looking at all of the schedules and the remaining teams that were playing, I thought, to me, the Chelsea one was perhaps the most boring, at least my opinion. I think that they're going to keep winning. I think they're going to be able to take down Watford, Palace, and Norwich. I'm not going to spoil the ending here on my my thoughts, but I think that the two kind of wild cards for me right now are Sheffield United and Arsenal. And I would love to see the Blades and Gunners come in and really shake up the last 6 games. So I think that for me, the Sheffield United Chelsea game is an opportunity for Chelsea to lose some points or take a draw. Obviously, I think they're going to get taken down by Liverpool. I have a less favorable view of how the Wolves are going to turn out at the end of the schedule. So I think Chelsea's road is pretty clear from what I can see. Besides those 2 games.
Yeah, that's fair. They play Watford, Norwich, and Palace around that Sheffield United tie, and none of those 4 teams have lit it up in terms of scoring goals this season. So I would be inclined that they could, if they get the full 12 points out of those 4 games, they'll be feeling pretty good about themselves when they go to Anfield on the penultimate day of the season and then host Wolves at home. So they could put themselves in a really good position those last 2 games.
Yeah.
To come in real well. Jeremy, I want to talk to you about Leicester, man. We've been talking about them quite a bit over the past couple weeks. You and I, not on this channel, but just text. Do you think that there's a chance that they'll rediscover their early season form coming down the stretch here?
Sadly, and this is nothing against Leicester City fans, but I don't actually. I think they are losing confidence by the day, whether it be because they can't pull out getting points on games where at the end of the games they have been playing well, or just as because they've completely and utterly lost their shooting boots. If you even look back at all their games, like it seems like they can't get more than 1 goal in. So whether it's them winning by 1 or losing because of by 1 goal, it's like they can't get more than 1 goal over the line. A ball over the line. So that's not boding well for the rest of the season. I don't care who you play. This is still the Premier League, just like Chelsea saw with with West Ham. Like, you got quality players on every team. You can have a shit team at the bottom of the league, but they got quality players there. They should be able to score 1 goal. So if Leicester can't get more than 1 goal in any of its matches through the latter half of the season, I'm sorry, they're definitely gonna go down.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what's interesting going into this these first matches this weekend is that all 4 teams, 3rd through 6th, play on Saturday. So you have an opportunity to watch all of these teams play, and Leicester have a chance to host Palace, who haven't scored many goals this season. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep a clean sheet. If they can create the chances and finally be clinical enough in front of goal that we haven't seen them be since we've returned from lockdown, can they get those 3 points and kickstart their season? So that'll be interesting to see. They do have matches remaining, trips to the Emirates and Tottenham. And they also have a home match with Sheffield United as well. Interestingly enough, of these 4 teams, the only team that all 4 teams will face is Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace will have a big say as to who qualifies for the Champions League.
Yeah. Here we are sitting with all of the schedules talking about who we're going to play, and poor Crystal Palace has to face all of us.
That's right.
Crystal Palace.
Pay attention to them because they have a lot to say. But
or not say.
Moving on to Wolves, actually. Jeremy, I'll start. I'll come to you here. Do you think that they can maintain their recipe of maintaining clean sheets and nicking the odd goal or two coming down the stretch here, looking at their schedule?
I actually believe that with Wolves not having to worry about Europa League, will set them up in a great position to end the season strong. Now, if they were having to worry about those matches while
Mhm.
playing the Premier League, I think you would see a dip in form because they would be so excited to do well in their Europa League that some of their heads would get turned on, say, critical matches where they're expecting to win them, but then don't go out and play where they need to win them.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And we talked about that with United in the past. United in the past week, not having to. We still, of course, have the FA Cup along with Chelsea of these four teams. We're still in that competition, but normally you'd be worried about all three competitions. And Wolves don't have to do that. They don't have to worry about the Europa League till August. It looks like so. And United don't have to worry about the Europa League till August.
So
So
it
that's
benefits both of us as clubs.
yeah, but especially to your point about Wolves, they have a much smaller squad than United. So for them to have that added focus on the league gives them a much better chance to push and get into the Champions League next year. And then they have the potential opportunity. Maybe they don't qualify via the league. They have the opportunity to potentially do that in the Europa League. So that's an excellent point. Patrick, let's talk about United.
How dare you?
So do you see them being able to continue the good football they've been playing since really Bruno Fernandes arrived at the club and push hard to finish third or fourth?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bruno is a key to this. What you had mentioned earlier, the news with, Bruno and Paul Pogba colliding together. I go to sleep hoping that everything's okay. They were just able to walk away from it. So there's definitely, an added layer of uncertainty there. But, let's just go with the assumption that they're going to play and they're match ready. I think Manchester United has a lot to prove in these last 6 games, especially with who we're playing. Previously losing to Bournemouth and Palace and West Ham, we need to get back and show everybody that we can win matches. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to do that. And in all of these, even Aston Villa and Southampton, where we drew against them previously, I think we're going to come out fighting fit. We're gonna burn our way to the Leicester game. And I think it's going to be, an excellent 5 matches of football for Manchester United.
Yeah, you bring up an excellent point, and Ole brought that up in his press conference this morning that we have probably on paper the weakest schedule running in. United does, and the next 5 teams we play we should get 3 points in all those games. But the fact is, when we played them the first time, we lost 3 of those and drew the other 2. So we got 2 points out of 15 from a run of fixtures that we're expected to get 15 points out of.
Right.
So we are in much better form now, but let's say I'm cautiously optimistic and don't want to get too ahead of myself yet. Jeremy, how do you see these next 5 fixtures before the Leicester finale play out for Man United?
So I will briefly say that in regards to these, whether it be news articles and things that have come out about a potential kind of, injuries, whether it be serious injuries or not, my thought is why would we even need to get into teams' heads if we're just doing this as a ploy? I'm hoping that's not the case because I'm just really, we don't need to be doing that right now. We don't need to just to start down the Mourinho road. All we need to do is just stay focused. I don't even understand why we would be doing extremely hard and heavy training right now, because in my opinion, that's a surefire way to get actually somebody seriously injured, when we should be just staying extremely focused, maybe doing a lot more kind of video things, and then lighter trainings That's just my opinion. But I'm hoping that there is no injury and we can keep the good run that we're doing. Otherwise, I do feel we could have a setup where it can give certain players, say like Greenwood, a chance to continue to shine, and he get excited, and we get goals from that end, or get Rashford back into his shooting boots.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that's the case, then that's a perfect time for us to say miss our 2 stars for 2 games, if that's what's going to happen. But if we crumble and we miss them because of that, then that's not looking well for us.
No.
Yeah.
No. Sorry,
I kind of like the idea of the, I definitely think that there's time for light training, but I think too that in the shape that we're in right now and trying to keep everyone, in the form that they're in, I think it's okay to, challenge the squads a little bit during practice. And, who knows, like you said, it would be kind of silly if that ends up being just, a tactic. I don't think it's a time for tactics either. Totally agree with that. If that came out, I'd be like, what the heck? But, I think it's good to keep them, instead of doing just light practice, I of the thought that it's good to keep them kind of challenged.
Yeah, that's a good point, Patrick. I'm not going to speculate on what drills or training that they were doing. For all we know, from what I've read, they could have been just doing a light warm down jog, and one of them was looking at a girl across the pitch or something and ran into the other. I don't know. So I'm not.
Paul was admiring Bruno's Mini Cooper.
He got a little too close then.
That's right.
But yeah, I would highly doubt it was necessarily a ploy. Though I mean, it could be. I don't know. It's just something that doesn't seem like. I mean, Jeremy, like you said, I don't think it's a time for mind games or anything like that. So I think I think it was just maybe they ran into each other. I don't know the severity of it, and somebody who was on the training ground saw it and leaked it to the tabloids. That's
wanted to blow it out of proportion.
Potentially, yeah.
But the next thing is if we're being a little bit cynical and playing devil's advocate, what you could say of why that might be used as a tactic is because all of these teams will expect the same lineup coming out from now to the end of time or end of this season. And if we're trying to throw them off of setting up in a specific way or mindset right from the get-go, you could potentially do that.
Yeah, you could, but again, I don't really think that is something that doesn't really strike me as Ole's style. I think, like you mentioned, Mourinho, that feels more like a Mourinho thing. I don't think Ole will necessarily do that. I think today in his press conference, he said that he'd like to name the same team that played against Brighton and Sheffield United, but he's also mindful that he might need to make 2 or 3 changes as well. So I think that's more Ole's style is, I'll put this out there in the press conference, whether they believe me or not is not really my I'm not going to be concerned about it. But I don't think it was something that I feel like it was more somebody maybe low level on the training staff or something like that. I don't know. Somebody maybe it was a young player. I don't know. Somebody just leaked out, the 2 of them ran into each other and they were shaken up or whatever. So I'm hoping that's all it is. Somebody just leaked it and it got kind of blown out of proportion. And there's
because really of course everybody wants some news. Everybody wants to be talking about something during this time.
Yeah.
And catch some clickbait.
I was just thinking today, I'm shocked that we haven't had any injuries over these we played 4 games since we've come back, and it feels like the longest we've gone without any new injuries. So. Oh
my goodness, you better knock on wood, Mike. And if you don't have any, I'll drive to Indiana and give you some.
No, I can say it now because as soon as I was thinking it, I turned on my phone and saw, there's an alert. Bruno and Paul ran into each other and they might miss tomorrow's match and maybe further. Oh, great. Why was I thinking that? So I've already put that aside. So okay, you can drive over here if you want, but we'll just have a Krabby's.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Jesus.
But,
probably not to get back on the road, but yes, we're not going to support drinking and driving on this channel.
Well, no. Once you come over and have a Krabby's, you can go then have a nap in my guest room. So.
Very good.
That's fine. I would enjoy it, and hopefully you'll be here when there's some matches going on. So
Oh yes,
that'd be
hopefully
ideal.
before the end of the season, I'll have to come by. We can watch some games together.
Yeah. Hopefully conditions improve all over, and you can come by maybe in August for the Europa League. That would be awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I want to get to your guys' predictions. You've looked at the table. You've looked at each team's remaining 6 matches, who they play, and Jeremy, let's start with you. Who do you think will, or how do you think these standings will shake out? And further, what do you think the decision might be on City's European ban?
Okay, so this is what I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen, and then I'm going to tell you what I hope is going to happen. So
Okay.
what I think is going to happen is actually going to be maybe a little bit of a shock to some people, but I do see Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United, and Wolves, and both Leicester and Chelsea getting knocked out of it. I think.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
I think Man City will somehow again get away with bloody murder and be able to be back into the Champions League. What I would like to see happen would be that it would actually get upheld, even if it's only for 1 year and not 2 years, and they get knocked completely out of it. And the intriguing thing of, say, Leicester still getting a chance to get into the Champions League, and then Chelsea getting knocked out of it altogether with all of the attacking firepower that they're going to have coming in, and then they're going to have to deal with Europa League.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's what I would love to see happen. I would love to see, and I believe that it's due just that Man City don't get into the Champions League again next year. I hope their appeal won't go the way that I feel inside me that it will, because it just seems like those types of teams, like, shit always goes their way. They could do the crime, people see the crime, and still somehow they get away with it.
That's fair.
I agree.
Patrick, what are your predictions?
Yeah, I never discount the ability of a large national or large international club to shirk punishment for doing the crime. So I too would like to see them get not get a 1 year, not 2 years. I mean, I think that makes sense. But I think that they're gonna be in it next year. And I agree with you on that one. I think as far as the top 6, I think it's going to be Liverpool, City. I think Leicester is going to stay there at number 3. So I think they're going to be able to keep that spot. I think we're going to come in Manchester United at number 4. Chelsea's going to roll in at 5, and then the Wolves at 6.
Okay,
that's fair.
Interesting.
And anybody who says the Blades will end in the top 6 can take it and shove it.
No, so the other interesting thing that I was thinking was this, like, at the end of the day, one thing that not a lot of people have been hearing about is that, like, Leicester City was in the position they were because Vardy was just being miraculous and was getting all these goals. Like, his scoring boots have dried up completely. Like, they don't even get anything from him. Yes, he's still a part of the team, but I don't think he's playing a big role right now. So if he's not doing that, you just don't have enough firepower, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point about Vardy. He was injured for a period before the lockdown, but he has dried up. His goals have considerably. We got to wrap up here. I just want to say that I'm the opposite with you guys on City. I think that I don't want them to. I want them to win their appeal, actually.
Okay.
But I think UEFA. I think it'll end up being a 1-year ban instead of 2-year, because UEFA needs to have their fair play rules legitimized. So it'll stick at least a little bit.
Why were you saying you would want them to win their appeal and be in the Champions League?
We'll talk about that later at another point. I got to wrap up here. But as far as the top 6, of course, Liverpool, City, and then I'm going to go with Chelsea at 3, and United at 4, and Wolves 5, Leicester 6. So that's my top 6. So, but that's it for the Theater of Football. Please if you like what you saw, and subscribe to the channel, and also leave your comments below on how you think the end of the season is going to go. So we'd love to hear from you, and whether or not you agree with my opinion on City. We'll be back in a few days and I'll elaborate on that more.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm Mike. For Patrick and Jeremy, have a good night.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, and I think we should get in a betting pot because we all have different endings to the top 6.
Totally. Next episode.
Okay. Bye, guys.
See y'all.